And now, along with Charles Ogletree and Randall Robinson and some really great lawyers, we're gonna try to fashion a strategy to sue for slavery reparations in this country, to bring a lawsuit. It's not the most popular thing everywhere, but that's not the test. The test is slavery was wrong. The government sanctioned and benefited from it. You can't have, 200 or 300 years of free labor built to help build the country. When you go to Washington, you look at those monuments like the Washington Monument, built by slaves. Nobody ever got any compensation for that. You got to look at it realistically, I think. So I think these are new challenges we have to face. It's a journey to justice.
We've been waiting on Congress to take action on reparations for far too long. At this point, it feels like we're waiting for a miracle that may never come. But what if I told you there's another path? One that doesn't require Congress, political promises, or waiting for reluctant leaders to act. What if I told you we could invoke the very law that was used to dismantle the Mafia and bring it to bear on one of the most organized and brutal criminal conspiracies in history, American chattel slavery? Let's talk about RICO, the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. It was designed to take down organized crime syndicates like the Mafia. But what if I told you it could also be used against the U.S. government and its allies in the transatlantic slave trade? Because when you look at it closely, chattel slavery was organized crime. It wasn't just an economic system. It was a massive international criminal enterprise that spanned continents, generations, and industries. And what's worse, this criminal network had government backing. Think about it. Under modern legal definitions, chattel slavery fits the exact criteria for a RICO case. Human trafficking? Check. Kidnapping? Check. Murder, rape, fraud? All of it happened on a daily basis, not by rogue actors, but by a system maintained by the United States government and its international partners. The Middle Passage, where Africans were kidnapped, chained, and shipped like livestock across the Atlantic, was human trafficking on a global scale. Entire families were torn apart. Men, women, and children were treated as commodities, and violence was used to maintain control. And it didn't stop there. The violence was systemic. Murder, torture, and rape were daily realities for enslaved people. Enslaved women were raped by their owners, with their children born into slavery, perpetuating this horrific cycle. These were not isolated acts of cruelty. These were institutional practices upheld by law. This was fraud on a grand scale. The entire institution of slavery was built on the lie that black people were not human beings but property. The U.S. government codified this in the Constitution with that infamous 3/5 clause, counting enslaved people as fractions of a person for political gain while denying them any rights. That's fraud and deception, plain and simple. And the web didn't stop at America's shores. European nations, Spain, Portugal, France, the UK, they all played a role in sourcing, shipping, and selling human beings. If the U.S. was the mob boss, Europe was the cartel, working in concert to make sure the business of slavery was profitable. So how does RICO fit into all of this? Under RICO, you don't just need a couple of crimes to bring a case. You need a pattern. Slavery was a centuries-long pattern of racketeering involving human trafficking, kidnapping, rape, murder, and fraud. These crimes were continuous, systemic, and endorsed by every level of government. Now, here's the twist. If we apply RICO to the history of chattel slavery, descendants of the victims, American Descendants of Slavery, have a direct claim for reparations. Not just moral reparations, but legal reparations. Under RICO, victims can file civil suits to recover damages from those responsible for their suffering. In this case, that's the U.S. government. And let's be clear, reparations aren't just about a check. They're about dismantling the institutions and systems that were built on Black exploitation. They're about financial restitution, yes, but also systemic reform. Reparations are about justice in its truest form. So we can't afford to wait for Congress to maybe do the right thing. The time for action is now. By reframing slavery through the lens of RICO, we have a powerful tool to hold the United States accountable. We have the legal precedent. We have the moral imperative. What we need now is the will to fight. RICO was used to bring down the Mafia. It can be used to bring justice to American descendants of slavery. The question is, are we ready to use it? We can't wait forever. The time to strike is now.
In this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
Thank you for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you believe it's time to change course. The conversation starts here, but it doesn't end here. Let's take action.